Hey everybody, welcome to February and a brand new YourTubeAdvocate. Now, ever since I was announced the next YourTubeAdvocate, the main response that I seem to be getting was something along the lines of, who the fuck are you and what the fuck makes you qualified to be the advocate? Which, I guess fair enough. So, let me give you a little bit of a background about me. I've been addicted to YouTube for about 2 years now. About a year and a half ago when I decided to start posting videos, I created my channel, which I've been active on ever since. In July of last year, I flew across the country from where I live here in California all the way to New York City to go to the 777 YouTube gathering. I have a number of friends that I've met through the site that I chat with on a regular basis online. And in fact, in November over the Thanksgiving week, I met up with 4 different YouTubers from 3 different states just to hang out, make videos, that kind of thing. Now, I am in the YouTube Partnership Program, but believe me, I'm not getting rich off it, and I definitely don't take orders from YouTube. In fact, I have another channel that is in no way affiliated with the Partnership Program that I post on a regular basis. Why? Because I enjoy making videos, and I enjoy watching videos, and I just enjoy being on YouTube. Above all, I enjoy interacting with the other YouTubers. I care about what happens here on the site because YouTube has become a part of my life, and that is what makes me qualified to be the YourTubeAdvocate. Now, I'm sorry if you don't think I have enough street cred or whatever to be the advocate, but it's my hope that you'll be reasonable enough to give me a chance and see how I do as advocate before you pass judgment. Now, that being said, every advocate comes to the channel with a little bit of a different style, a little bit of different personality, a little bit different philosophy on being advocate. The way I see it, it's important to understand that the YourTubeAdvocate is the result of a communications failure between YouTube and the community. On the one side, we've got YouTube, which is all these different little departments that talk within themselves and sometimes to each other. And on the other, we've got YouTube with all these people who kind of know each other, who talk within themselves and sometimes to each other. And in the middle, there's this divide, this chasm, where communication is just not getting across. And YouTube has set up a few little bridges across the divide, which are supposed to allow for communication to get across, but they're just not being effective. And so people on this side, YouTubers, created their own bridge to go directly across back to YouTube, and that's what YourTubeAdvocate is. But you already know that, so why am I talking about it? Well, because there's this gap of communication and this sort of void of any knowledge of what's going on over here on the YouTube side, people tend to make assumptions about what's going on over here, and people come up with these ideas that YouTube is kind of coming after them, or that they're proactively trying to destroy the little guy, which I don't personally believe. What I do believe is that YouTube is selectively apathetic, and a lot of the time they just don't care about the things that are important to us. To the people that work at YouTube, YouTube is a building where they go to every day and sit at a desk and try not to piss off their boss. Probably pretty much the same thing that you do every day. Because they're not YouTubers, they don't care about what happens on the site as much as we do. Because they're not spending as much time on the site as we do, they don't see the problems the same way that we do. And while it may be really satisfying to say, hey, YouTube, this crap's broken, get it fixed, we have to accept the fact that we can't actually make YouTube do anything. So what can we do? Well, what we can do is make YouTube aware of the problems, and we can give them reason to care about it. Now, how do we do that? Well, there's this principle that's pretty much as old as human civilization, which is strength in numbers, which is why I encourage everybody who watches this video to subscribe, and not only to subscribe, but to share the videos with other people, to comment on them, make your voice heard, send me a message, make a video response so that everybody that you're subscribed to can learn about the channel and make their voice heard as well. If I can go to YouTube, or whoever's the next YourTubeAdvocate can go to YouTube and say, I have X thousand number of people who see this problem and want it to be fixed, then it's much harder for them not to care about it. It's much harder for them to ignore that problem. Now, I talked a little bit about these other bridges that YouTube has set up to sort of try and close the communications gap, things like Damon, the community advocate, and the community council. Now, the YourTubeAdvocate has the advantage not just of, like I said, being able to speak for many people at once, and therefore, making our voice louder and more, likely to be heard. But these other positions were set up, basically as sort of passive resources where you could come individually to them with your grievances, and they would be passed along to YouTube. And admittedly, that's part of the YourTube Advocate's role as well, and I will continue to be doing that. For instance, one of the first messages that I've gotten so far has to do with a user in Canada trying to watch a video and getting a message that says this video is not available in your country. So if anybody else knows anything about this or knows of any other examples of this happening, please let me know so that I can address it. But aside from just being a resource where you can take your grievances and have them be passed along, albeit in mass in this instance, I see an opportunity with YourTubeAdvocate to be proactive, to actively engage you, to actively ask you what it is that you want. By asking you questions, I can be armed with even more information when I go to YouTube. So since I've been talking about communication with YouTube today, that's what my first open question to all of you is going to be about. Now, right now the YourTubeAdvocate is a conduit for communications, but it's pretty much all one way. We take what we want to say and what we need answered and we communicate with YouTube, and they either address it or they don't. But we still don't hear anything about what YouTube is thinking, what they're planning on doing, what they're planning on fixing, what their reasons for doing things are. So what do you think about that? What do you think about the lack of communication from YouTube? And more importantly, how does it affect you and your experience on this site? Also, what do you think about the ways that YouTube does try and communicate with the community? What about the community advocate and the community council? What are the problems with these things? Why are they not being effective? Should they be given some sort of new roles or responsibilities or altered in some way? What do you think? Also, what about the YouTube blog? Are you one of the people that thinks it's ironic to the point of tears that YouTube communicates, almost exclusively to its users through text? And if so, what do you think is the solution? Should the blog be eliminated or changed in some way? What about the YouTube channel? Should this be updated more often? And if so, what do you want to hear from YouTube on it? And who do you want to see telling you? Do you want it to be an employee of YouTube? Do you want it to be a face that you recognize, like Chad or Steve, or the political guy whose name escapes me right now? Think about it. Leave a comment. Make a video response. Let's start a discussion. Because as the YourTube Advocate, I don't just want to be a fireman running around putting out fires. I want to tap into this great resource that we all have at our disposal, which is this vast amount of incredibly creative people that are on this site. So let's get together and come up with some ways that this site can be better for all of us. I'll see you next time.